Hey guys, it's Anna from Brightline Gardens, and I have a really unique video for you today. So behind me here is a 15-year-old Japanese maple. It's actually a red dragon Japanese maple, and I know it doesn't look like a 15-year-old Japanese maple. That is because we did have a customer accidentally run it over with her car, and it was completely wiped out and left with only the trunk. I do have a disclaimer to add. Fortunately, the customer was left uninjured. No one got hurt in the whole accident, and to have the only casualty just be a Japanese maple tree, we're grateful for that. This is about 2 seasons ago, so this is 2 years worth of growth behind me here, but it is vigorously coming back. So at this point, I'm going to try to trim it down back into a tree shape and see if this guy will eventually grow some red leaves for us. Now, fortunately, the tree obviously survived. It's trying to grow back. We just need to help it a little bit with training. We're working with a really established root structure. As I said, the tree was over 15 years old, so fortunately, we have a really good foundation to get started with. So my first job is going to be to find the main branch of the tree and make that into my new trunk. So starting at the very bottom, you can kind of see where that old trunk was right here. This is the existing trunk. And all of these green shoots here are new growths that have occurred in the last 2 years. So my primary goal right now is just to establish what I'm going to turn into my new primary trunk. And it looks like I've got a more of a thick one back here with some healthy branches coming off from it. So I think this guy here is what I'm going to use as my main trunk, which means all of the other growth around it is going to need to be pruned off. The only tool I'm going to be working with today is just my Husky brand bypass loppers. These are nice and sharp, and I just disinfected them. One of the primary reasons that I disinfect, anytime I'm pruning something in this manner, as in taking off the majority of the new growth, you just really, really want to make sure that your tool is very clean, because any sort of introduction of bacteria along with that type of stress can probably outdo a plant like this. Additionally, I plan to use several of the stems that I cut off as cuttings that I can try to root this winter, so it's always nice to keep those nice and clean. Starting with the outermost branches towards me, I'm just going to go ahead and snip them off on a 45-degree angle and make my way in towards that main stem that I showed you earlier. I have found my one main trunk going up. It looks really, really healthy, so I'm very pleased to see that. There are a couple side shoots that will turn into larger branches, but this one here is a little bit too big. The circumference of this branch is really similar to the circumference of my quote main trunk. So this guy here I am going to prune off just to make sure that the majority of the energy of the tree goes to this main trunk. At this point, I am going to stop the pruning just so my tree can recover from all of the pruning that I've already done. I know he doesn't quite look like Tree of the Year yet. However, we can see the one main stem, and now I know exactly where I want to prune next year. My next step is to try to nurture this tree and encourage as much new growth as possible so that it can start to fill out its new shape. To do that, I want to give it a thorough watering and continue to water, especially for the next 2 weeks. And I'm also going to fertilize. Tree tone is frequently what I use on a lot of the trees on this property. It is a formula that's specifically for fruit trees. However, a lot of our other deciduous trees handle it very well. Japanese maples do prefer a much more acidic soil than your average tree, so I'm also going to add just a little bit of this soil acidifier. It's also the same type of soil acidifier that you would use to turn your hydrangeas blue if you have any of that. Now, on a lot of our Japanese maples, we do try to train the trees. And what we do by that is typically we'll top the tree right before the very top split there. And from that spot where we've topped the tree, we'll typically get two main branches that branch off. Now, we'll use a little bit of wire to kind of anchor those branches down so that they grow in a nice bonsai type fashion. Well, this is not a true bonsai tree. This red dragon variety does grow in a very compact form and handles this type of training really well. Because I've just caused the tree so much shock, that is not something I'm going to introduce anytime in the next month or so. And we are heading into fall. So likely in the spring, when I start to see new growth emerge, is when I'm going to go ahead and top the tree and start my training. I will gladly post an update video on this tree. This is probably going to be a 1 to 2 year project for me, but I'm really hoping to bring this guy back to his former glory. If you have any questions for me on pruning my Japanese maples or how I take care of my Japanese maples, or if you have any tips or tricks that you want to throw my way, please feel free to do so and leave them in the comment section below. I always love to hear from you guys. And if you enjoy watching content like this, please don't hesitate to subscribe and like our channel. It seriously helps out small businesses like ours so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, I hope to catch you next time.